Hello everyone. I didn't expect so many people to come to this, so thank you so much. So, quick introduction. Who am I? I'm John Powell, as we said. I'm a junior penetration tester at KPMG. I'm a freelance researcher, so I primarily focus on vulnerability disclosure programs, and I also like researching niche topics, which is hence this talk. I'm the former president of the Leeds Afghan Society, and I studied cybersecurity and digital forensics. My main interest areas are penetration testing, you'd hope so for my job, threat intelligence, and I like messing around with some malware. On the side, I like to do gym, art, gaming, and Warhammer. If anyone fancies a conversation and don't know what to talk to me about, just ask me about Warhammer. I can go on for hours. So, quick disclaimer before I proceed. Just want to make absolutely clear that this talk is purely myself. Any of you shared or thought is purely mine. My research, everything, this is all me. It does not relate to my fellow colleagues or KPMG. So this is not related to KPMG. This is entirely my own. Cool. So, quick introduction. What is the dark web? Super cool hacker stuff. Do you have red rooms? Hire a hitman? Loads of drug forums? Do you need elite hacker skills to access it? Let's slow down, let's break it down. So, I'm sure a lot of people have already seen this, but this is a very basic layout. So, you have the surface web, which is just normal, so like Google, Facebook, Instagram. Deep web, which gets confused a lot with the dark web, is non-indexed information, so like legal documents, private forums, research papers, that type of stuff. And then you have the dark web, which is just Tor, private communication, that type of stuff. So, deep web and dark web gets confused quite often, but they're classified as different things. So the dark web is actually primarily a lot of people associate with Tor, which is the most popular one that's most seen. But there's actually multiple projects that fall under that. So there's the Invisible Internet Project, Freenet, and there's loads of different ones. So this talk will primarily just be focused on Tor, just discussing that one. So there's a lot of stuff under the umbrella. So a quick introduction to Tor, if anyone's not aware of it. It's known as dark web, most popular one. It was initially developed by the US Navy in the 1990s, so it was made by the US government. It operates based off nodes and volunteers, so people volunteer their network and the bandwidth and to help run it. So it's grown over the years and increased. Some of the sponsors of it include the US government, Zcash, there's loads of different ones, again, obviously, wonderful volunteers. So Tor browser looks like something like this. So it's just bog standard browser. You access it, and you can go to this site, and it'll basically say, you are configured. So in this example, this is a Tor site. So if you look at the top, the URL, it has .onion. So an onion link, it's Tor. There's loads of different sites used by normal companies. So Facebook had one, have one. Newspapers have one. It's a right mix, and in this case, the FBI have one. So not everything on the dark web is bad and evil. A lot of it is, but not all of it. So, if you want to understand how Tor works, very basic way, easy way to explain it is onions. O's and onions. So this is a very basic explanation. So, imagine with a Tor client, you want to access a Tor site, you pass through these nodes, add in their own layer of onion, encryption, get to the destination, passes it back to the relay, the way back. Again, very basic explanation, very poorly explained, but it gives you a rough idea. So, on the Tor network, there's obviously a lot of different cybercrime going on. So you have breach forums, which is cybercrime, which has been seized multiple times. Ransomware sites like Vice City, Hydra Market, Silk Road, which got seized and were one of the original dark web drug sites, and has had so many spin-offs now. XSSIS, which is a Russian cybercrime forum, if anyone's aware of it, which I think they actually recently got seized. Care, another ransomware group, and Acubus Market, which I might be incorrect this, they either got seized or they did an exit scam. So you quickly pick up throughout Starlight. It changes a lot the framework, how the environment is. There's constantly sites getting taken down. There's constantly new groups growing. There's a right mix. So obviously due to this, there's a lot of seizures. So for example, in Operation Talent, that took down Cracked and Nulled, which was cybercrime forums, breach forums, which is one of the many seizures. We had this seizure, which focused on Hansa and Alphabet, which are both drug markets, I believe. And then we have Black Suit ransomware. So a lot of the times when law enforcement sees sites, what they do is they like to display this notice of control. So this is done for various reasons. So it's to demonstrate to, the threat actors, hey, we've took over this site. This is a fuck day now. And then they show all the parties involved. So it's really good. It shows law enforcement are taking actions against, this massive problem. So an introduction to Lockbit, which funny enough inspired my dissertation project. So a quick introduction to Lockbit. They were first initially observed in 2019 and were initially going as ABCD ransomware. Don't know why they picked that, but yeah. They're a Russian-speaking ransomware as a service model. So if anyone doesn't know what ransomware as a service model is, essentially threat actor operation, they'll make their ransomware and then they'll take on affiliates and they'll say, right, you use our ransomware, you carry out attacks, we do negotiations, that type of stuff. There's loads of different versions of it, there's loads of different ones. So some might say, right, you conduct the attack, we take care of the negotiations, we host the infrastructure, but you get 10% of the cut of profits. Loads of different ones, but very basic like that. So from their time with Lockbit, they've had several variants. Quickly researching before the talk, I found out there's been a new one discovered, which is 5.0. There's also been Lockbit Black and Green. So they've had, the development of their ransomware is, massive and massive. And they're one of the most prolific ransomware groups. They're still very active today. And their top targets include the US, UK, France, Germany, and China, according to NCA, National Crime Agent in the UK. They're a very interesting group. You've got to give them credit because they brought a lot of new developments to the ransomware scene. So they launched their own bug bounty program, which is quite unique. So what they offered was, if you found bugs in their sites and reported it, they'll give you money. If you give them good ideas for ransomware operation, then they go, shit, that's actually a really good idea. Here's some money. They also offered a bounty for Locksup, who is the owner of Lockbit. And they basically said, look, if you manage to dox him and you get it right, we're going to pay you $1 million. So it's very interesting. They also did a tattoo competition where if you got a tattoo logo on you, they will pay you, which is mental. So a lot of people ended up doing it. And Lockbit claimed to have spent around 20k on this. So previously from other ransomware groups, a lot of them their promotion was very basic. It was like, hey, we're the best ransomware group in the world, everyone should fear us, come work as an affiliate. Whereas Lockbit really advanced their techniques and quickly gained, become very prolific. And, stuff like this makes them go, wow, these guys are, professionals, these guys are cool. Which gets on to the Lockbit seizure. So, law enforcement ended up seizing them in February 2024, which was a collaboration between NCA, I believe FBI, and a bunch of other agencies. It was massive. So, in my previous role, I was a threat intelligence analyst. When this dropped, we were all over it. It was crazy. All the cybercrime forums, all the affiliates who were part of the group were terrified. Was not good. So a lot of affiliates were actually unmasked and led to arrests. I believe a father and son was actually found to be affiliates and they were arrested, which is, disastrous. Lockbit was identified and he was sanctioned, so he turned out to be a Russian national. I don't think they paid bounty to the NCA for finding him, unfortunately. So, but they did offer the guy who exploited him a job. And said, we'll pay you more than the FBI or whatever. I don't think he took the job. I don't blame him. So due to this seizure, it caused major reputational damage. So since then, their presence on the cybercrime forums, a lot of people have ended up mocking them. So other people who are affiliates who are potentially going to go, I'm going to start working with Lockbit, see this and go, yeah, no fucking way, just been seized and, all their affiliates have been arrested. It's a mess. The leader's been doxxed. It's not very good. So what they ended up doing was, which was quite unique, law enforcement actually took over the site, and you see these bits here where it says published and times. This is where they used to display their victims. So you'd go on the site and it would say, X company, this is the data that's exposed. So law enforcement went, yeah, no, we're going to use that and embarrass them. So they shared a bunch of stuff and gave updates. So Lockbit arrest, link to UK arrest, major arrest of affiliate, which, again, when I was monitoring cybercrime forums at this time, they were getting absolutely abused, which is very interesting to see. So from that, I really got fascinated, because I was coming off placement year and I was going into final, and I was like, this is really cool. I really want to know, how did this happen? So I really closely monitored like the story, and I was like, how did this work? So shout out to VX Underground. Another watching. Love you guys. They managed to do an interview and talk to the leader because they had some communication, and they basically said, we might have been exploited with CVE, it might have been a 0-day, other groups might have been hit. They were very much up in the air and not really sharing because they don't know what the fuck going on. So they shared from VX Underground, the FBI fucked our servers using PHP, backup servers, well, PHP were not touched. Hearing this and hearing, oh, you got fucked from a CVE, there it is pretty embarrassing when you're meant to be this massive cybercrime group. So even more hearing this, a lot of people on the cybercrime forum and like the cybercrime scene went, yeah, no, this is embarrassing, this is not good. So this really inspired my dissertation project, which is, ta-da, Void Core, which is a completely name I made up. I actually used their site as like inspiration for the design, which is really cool. But I really got fascinated with how do law enforcement, how do threat actors actually compromise these Tor sites. How many people are here? Pen testers, red teamers, anything like that? Few of you. How many of you have been trained on targeting Tor sites? Exactly like for the camera, no one raised hands. So there's not a lot of training, there's not a lot of education, so I thought, you know what, it'd be really cool if I can make something like that. So Tor-based CTF, so it was all hosted on Tor. It was a very interesting disk project. So what I did was I decided I'm going to make a Tor CTF site, and I'm going to implement the most common vulnerability I could find from research and all that type of stuff. So it was to essentially have the goal of providing a platform which pen testers, law enforcement could use to get training and go, right, we have this new person on the team who's not targeted Tor sites before. Let's get them to train against this Tor site and go, oh, right, let's look for this common stuff. So for the project, it was only focused on actual issues within the domains. So stuff like issues of the Tor network, I didn't include that. I know there are a few. And OPSEC failures, I didn't include that. There was other CTFs I found based on Tor, which was like, you know, tracking cryptocurrency and that type of stuff. But for this, I wanted to purely just focus on the actual technical issues. There you go. So what I included for researchers was research, law enforcement announcements, other researchers finding, and some threat actor activity. So for the threat actor activity, because I wanted to try and have it as broad as possible, the findings, if I saw a reputable threat actor or someone who posted like credible source, like a video of them actually exploiting a Tor site, I would include it. So for an example, I don't remember the exact details, but it was a threat actor managed to get local file inclusion or server-side request forgery on a Tor site. And I was like, that's pretty cool. That's getting added. It seems legit. So that type of stuff. So, quick disclaimer just before I get into the findings. So this is completely independent researchers, a degree student. There was no collaboration with any law enforcement or other organisations, so it was entirely me just researching myself. My findings have not been peer-reviewed or verified, so might have missed a thing or two. I tried the best I could, so again, this is all on me. I tried the best I could. I was a degree student. I was quite stressed out at the time, and I was like, you know, I really want this over with so I can get my degree. So I tried the best I could, okay? Right. So, the findings, magic drum roll. Any guesses first? Shout them out. You what? Louder? Anyone? Good idea. Any others? Shout them out. SQL injection? Yes, correct. Next. Anyone else? Good thinking. One last one. Good thinking. So, this is the findings. Infrastructure misconfiguration. SQL injection. Access to infrastructure. Compromised database. So for context, when I'm putting it in speech marks, obviously the law enforcement ain't going to give away all the secrets of how to do super cool hacking stuff. So a lot of the times they just put, we access the infrastructure. We compromise the database. So that's why I put it in speech marks. Cross-site scripting, I then other, which was like default crates, LFI, that type of stuff. So, me as a stressed out final year student, I was like, oh no, this isn't enough detail. How am I going to do this? How am I going to implement this? I was panicking. So for the implementation, I really just tried to make it as realistic as I thought possible, and based off the stuff I could find online. So for the implementation, it was pretty basic, straightforward. So I just used an AWS EC2 instance, Apache, running MySQL, PHP, Tor, was a very basic setup. Most of the code, if you look at my GitHub, yes, it is written with AI. I'm a pretty shit developer, I can't lie, but it did the job. It's very basic, it worked. So, as you see, Tor site top. So the cross-site scripting one, I just implemented a very basic one in the search engine. Quick search. Ta-da! Flag. Obviously in real world cases, I'm not saying it's this simple, but it's just a demo. So, SQL injection, so void soup was like our imaginary leader I made for this. So once you access it, you can access all that information. Again, obviously in real world cases, it'd be a lot more complicated. And this one, which actually I found in quite a few research cases, the server status page was actually designed to be exposed. So if one isn't aware, it's built into Apache, and essentially, as you can see there in the lovely GIF, it exposes the server version, the IP, a lot of other information. So if you was a penetration test and you found the server status page exposed on a pen test, you'd probably rate it as informational, low, nothing major. When you're exposing your IP as a ransomware site, it's not a good idea. So a lot of the times, actually, the cases I found, a lot of the times law enforcement just go, right, looking on Shodan, oh, cool, we found the IP. Great, contact the provider. Seizure. Done. So, in conclusion, Tor sites is very much like a Hydra head. You take one down, 6 more grow back. Some of them end up infighting, some of them get compromised. They get a spin-off, you keep going and going and going. So it's a never-ending issue, it's constantly growing, and the Tor network is continuously popular. There have been a lot of transition to platforms like Telegram, with a lot of cybercrime groups, but Tor still remains quite popular. If for some reason you end up working at NCA and you're panicking and you get put on to find an exploit in a Tor site, very basic, simple way is, don't worry, don't panic. End of the day, these sites are just sites. They've still got, SQL injection, they've still got cross-site scripting. You just need to apply a different methodology. So instead of, right guys, let's boot up Nmap and scan it and go, oh, let's find port. There's no IP. Can you try and identify IP from Shodan? Can you try and see if the server status page exposed? Can you try cross-site scripting? Try various different stuff and just see what you can work with. The amount of law enforcement personnel I managed to speak to while making this dissertation, they were actually really interested in this project, which is great to see, and a lot of them don't have this type of resources. They don't have a direct training method. A lot of them are like us, they just have hacked the box. As previously pointed out, we don't know what we're doing with Tor sites. We can never try cross-site scripting, that type of stuff. So yeah. Also, if anyone wants to nick this idea and improve it, please feel free, but give me credit if you don't mind. Thank you. But yeah, no, on a serious note, something like this developed into a more professional, because that was just, I made very basic CDF site on Tor. Something a bit more professional, a bit more challenging, that type of stuff, having layers of difficulty, could be brilliant for law enforcement. Person I spoke to in NCA, very interested in that type of stuff. So if anyone has a business idea, you feel free to nick mine. So if anyone wants to read a bit more into it, I did write a very basic blog, research article covering my DIS. It's available on my LinkedIn. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn. If you've got any questions about my research, or you just want to have a chat and catch up, feel free to add me. Other than that, does anyone have any questions?
Any questions?
What would you like to do next? You'd be interested in what have you got any other projects?
Ooh. I've always got projects on the go.
Which ones can you share that you don't want people to see?
So I'm trying to do much as I can, I'm busy with work, but one of the things I've been doing is recently there's been a new, I'm trying not to give away too much information, there was recently a new ransomware group that came into operation, so I've managed to make a few sock puppets and I'm trying to appear as an affiliate of interest. So I'm trying to social engineer information out and go, how does your ransomware work? Is it just a rip-off of Lockbit or Conti or whatever other group? The dark web, Tor, that type of stuff is always going to be interesting to me, so I'll always find my ideas, but they always have stuff on go. So yeah.
I've got more, sorry.
Of course, yeah.
I've never looked into any of the stuff. Have you looked? You mentioned I can be loud in London. Put subtitles for me later. Have you ever looked at the Telegram channels?
Yes, yeah. So in my previous role, I had to do a lot of work with Telegram. So it's really interesting shift. So with my old manager, we actually discussed this because he's ex-law enforcement. And he was discussing with me that essentially a lot of these fractors, because there've been obviously so many sieges nowadays, it's, you're hosting a site end of the day. You've got to keep up with the updates. A lot of it should have took out. You've got to keep up with it. It's very hard. So that a lot of these groups are just going, no, fuck this. We'll just do most of our communication through Telegram, which is another kettle of fish. It's its own issue, with the cooperation they're having with law enforcement now since the CEO's arrest. But yeah, there's certainly a shift towards Telegram and other platforms, but again, Tor's just remains so popular. I don't think it's going away anytime soon, especially with ransomware groups. The groups just keep increasing in numbers. It keeps growing, and obviously other drug markets and that type of stuff. So, any other questions? You can ask me anything. It doesn't have to be related to this if it's that boring to you. Cool, no worries. Well, thank you so much for attending and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.